Hi, my name is Svea Schneider, and my company Kinematic Dance Theater is performing this Saturday at the Dixon Place as part of the Crossing Boundaries dance series. The piece that we're performing is a premiere. It's entitled Conversation Pieces, and it's a collaboration between myself and my company and two other artists. One video and multimedia artist in India, in Pune, and one choreographer and dancer in Vienna. And the whole idea was, or let me take a step back. Since about a year or so, I've been collecting phrases, parts of sentences overheard on the streets of New York. Because in New York, public and private life sort of merge. So I've been walking down the streets and hearing some really interesting bits and pieces of conversations. And I thought it would be super interesting to make a piece out of that. And put these sentences, these pieces that are separated from its context and from the whole, and give them new meaning. And when Marcia Monroe invited me to be part of the Crossing Boundaries dance series, I thought, how much more can I make this about crossing boundaries? And my dear friends and collaborators, Shraddha Uday Boravake and Katrin Blantin, I thought of them because I've worked with them in the past and they're amazing artists. I thought, okay, how can we cross geographic boundaries, and how can we incorporate local conversations within a global context? So we talked, and homework was to overhear conversations on the street in Pune, India, in Austria and Vienna, as well as New York, and try to interpret what we hear and try to merge and mix the pieces of conversations, keeping in mind that we have, we're dealing with 3 different languages. And how can we contextualize that and make a framework that works for all of these pieces that are separated from the whole? So it's a multimedia dance performance. So we have 3 dancers on stage, and we have a video. And it's been very interesting to work in this sort of scenario, to be collaborating with 2 artists that are not in the same city, not in the same country, not even in the same continent. So thanks to Skype, we've been able to sort of come up with a great concept and work together. It's been difficult at times, especially because the speed that the Indian internet works at is very slow. So what takes me to download 10 minutes takes Shraddha to upload for 8 hours. So we have a video that corresponds to what's happening on stage. We've taken the words that we heard and sort of translated them with our bodies, which are sort of simultaneously shown on the video as well as on stage. And myself and Katrin in Austria, we sort of compiled a lot of footage and then sent it over to India. And Shraddha was working with a phenomenal film team, editing team that sort of brought to life this amazing video that mirrors what we're trying to express live on stage. And really interestingly, so, you see me walking through the streets of New York, you see Katrin walking through the streets of Vienna, and Shraddha walking through the streets of Pune. And we were adhering to sort of a script, which, walk 10 steps, do for 5 seconds, do a turning movement, walk, 15 steps for the next 10 seconds, find somewhere to sit and somehow incorporate it, whatever you're sitting on, and try to express what you're feeling in that moment. So Shraddha brought it all together, and then the difficulty was to how do we merge, like, sort of overcome this gap between A, boundaries, geographic boundaries, but B, also between the video and what's happening on stage. And sort of what's happening on stage, used my kitchen table, which I had to nail so it wouldn't fall apart. We have the kitchen table on stage as the prop, and we have 3 chairs, and these 3 characters come together. And sort of for me, the table represented... What does it represent? It represents communication in a way, because for many times, or at many times, you come together to communicate on the table, whether it is for dinner, whether you have coffee with a friend, whether you're in school. A lot of communication obviously needs the human interaction, but a lot of communication happens on the table or around the table. And I was playing around with different gestures and sort of looking at language as a linguistic mean and translate it into more like a physical modality. So how can we express, as you see now I'm talking with my hands, but how can we express what we're trying to say without using sounds? How can we express that with our body? And I was looking at it through various lenses and sort of trying to approach it like not, through a multitude of paths. And so thinking about communication and all the things that could go wrong in communication, and the barriers that they are, again, crossing boundaries. So where does communication start? Where does it end? Where does the miscommunication come in? How does the body fill the void sometimes when words fail, I guess. So, and I guess something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the way in which we use language. It's a little bit off the topic of the piece, but it nevertheless informs my approach to it, because language is such a predominant thing in our lives. That's how we construct meaning. That's how we go about our lives. That's how we communicate. And that's where we hold knowledge. That's where we record knowledge and store it, transmit it. And it's sort of become our primary means to relate to one another. And which is great. Language is awesome. Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. But it also sort of brings us in a space in which we are more apt to, or are more inclined to sort of have pre-consisting notions or conceptions of what something is, or what someone is, or who someone is. And it gets in the way sometimes of understanding. I think so. Because as soon as we have language, we classify and we label. And suddenly there's this thing that we're naming, or this relationship that we're naming, exists in this very narrow space, which is defined by a word. And a lot of times we forget that we have inherent knowledge in our body, just intuition, instincts that are held within our body. And a lot of times I think through language we've severed the connection to our body and to knowing that there's so many things that we can express with it. Should I be looking at you or at the camera?
That's good. We can wrap it up.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there we go. Come to Dixon Place this Saturday, December 8th at 7:30 p.m. Dixon Place is a fantastic theater on the Lower East Side, 161A Christie Street. And for tickets, just go on dixonplace.org and you'll find all the information. See you there.
Thank you.
Thanks.